Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 to 24. Peter's declaration about Jesus. Jesus went to the territory near the town of Caesarea Philippi, where he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" "Some say John the Baptist," they answered. "Others say Elijah, while others say Jeremiah or some other prophet." "What about you?" he asked them. "Who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." "Good for you, Simon, son of John," answered Jesus, "for this truth did not come to you from any human being, but it was given to you directly by my Father in heaven. And so I tell you, Peter, you are a rock. And on this rock foundation I will build my church, and not even death will ever be able to overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. What you will prohibit on earth will be prohibited in heaven, and what you permit on earth will be permitted in heaven." Then Jesus ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. From that time on, Jesus began to say plainly to his disciples, "I must go in Jerusalem and suffer much from the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law. I will be put to death, but 3 days later I will be raised to life." Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "God forbid it, Lord," he said. "That must never happen to you." Jesus turned around and said to Peter, "Get away from me, Satan. You are an obstacle in my way, because these thoughts of yours don't come from God but from man." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone wants to come with me, he must forget self, carry his cross, and follow me."
This reading is from Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in him. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, who does not look to the proud, to those who turn aside to false gods. Many, Lord my God, are the wonders that you have done, the things you planned for us. None can compare with you. Were I to speak and tell of your deeds, they would be too many to declare. Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but my ears have opened. Burnt offerings and sin offerings you did not require. Then I said, "Here I am, I have come. It is written about me in the scroll. I desire to do your will, my God. Your law is within my heart. I proclaim your saving acts in the great assembly. I do not seal my lips, Lord, as you know. I do not hide your righteousness in my heart. I speak of your faithfulness and your saving help. I do not conceal your love and your faithfulness from the great assembly. Do not withhold your mercy from me, Lord. May your love and faithfulness always protect me. For troubles without number surround me. My sins have overtaken me, and I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my heart fails within me. Be pleased to save me, Lord. Come quickly, Lord, to help me. May all who want to take my life be put to shame and confusion. May all who desire my ruin be turned back in disgrace. May those who say to me, "Aha, aha," be appalled at their own shame. But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who long for your saving help always say, the Lord is great. But as for me, I am poor and needy. May the Lord think of me. You are my help and my deliverer. You are my God. Do not delay.
Yes, I did have a fantastic break. Thanks for asking. From mountain climbs up Cadair Idris and Helvellyn, to dips in the balmy Barmouth Sea and lukewarm Lake Coniston, and times catching up with friends and family with a film or three, it was a wonderful and very welcome break. I was originally due, of course, to be off in Tokyo, cheering on Team GB as they tried to emulate their success in Brazil, but the world has changed since I bought my Olympic tickets, and the giant salamanders of Japan have nothing on the donkeys of Blackpool anyway. I did, however, get in touch with my friend Darren, who's currently enduring the severe restrictions of the renewed lockdown in Melbourne, Australia, to reminisce about our last Olympic odyssey some 4 years ago, the highlights of which included navigating the waterways of the Amazon, being wowed by the wonder of Iguazu Falls, and delighting in the colour and vibrancy of Rio de Janeiro, where you can catch sight of Christ the Redeemer wherever you are in the city. To see this image of Jesus, arms outstretched as if to give the residents of Rio and the world a divine touch, to see it up close is breathtaking. Of course, it's not the only impressive statue of Jesus around, and seeing as most of us have had to curtail our holiday plans, or at least our foreign travels this year, I thought we'd enjoy a quick jaunt to some of the most iconic images of Jesus across the world, some of which you might well have been to. And let's see if you recognize any of them. Here we see the gallery. I think that's probably enough time. So have you seen any of those before? Did you recognize any of them? Congratulations if you did, as I reckon a few of those would be pointless answers. So let's go through them. First up was the statue of Christ the King from Poland, technically the tallest statue of Jesus in the world if you include the mound it's on. Then we had Michelangelo's Cristo della Minerva in Rome, followed by the incredible Christ of the Abyss near Portofino on the Italian coast. I just love that image. Next up, and some of you might have got this one, Christ the King in Lisbon, a near replica of the one in Rio. And beside that, or the final photo on the film, we have the colourful Divine Mercy Shrine in Philippines. And actually the final one, I got that wrong, was the biggest statue of baby Jesus in the world, which is slightly terrifying and bears more than a passing resemblance to Phil Collins, and can be seen in the town of Guadalupe in Mexico. So a whole range of images of Christ there. I wonder if you had a favourite. I wonder if you had a least favourite. Well, whatever else might be said about them, such images of Christ are normally placed somewhere with a stunning backdrop. An ornate church, a beautiful vista, even an ocean view. And then there's Mount Toro in Menorca. Mount Toro is said to be the spiritual centre of Menorca, where there's been a shrine and place of pilgrimage since the 13th century. Over the years, it's housed a monastery and convent, and now telephone, television, and satellite masts. And I wonder what you think or what you feel when you see this image. Perhaps you feel disappointed that the image of Jesus is obscured or dwarfed by the ugly masts all around him. Perhaps, as a friend of mine said to me, the images make you think of Jesus in the temple, condemning the religious leaders for squeezing God out of the picture in the endless desire for financial gain. Or perhaps, as another member of the church once said to me, here you see Jesus embracing the masts, blessing the forms of technology and communication which have enabled us to stay connected at a time of global social distancing. Well, whatever you feel about the image, if you look up Mount Toro on the internet, you will see many pictures like the one hopefully on screen now. This one, where it appears as if the pylons do not exist. The ugly masts have been photoshopped out the picture. And that, I think, is a temptation that we all have. We can be tempted to think that God must be kept pure, away from the dirtiness of our everyday lives, where we compromise and sometimes lie and try our best and yet fail. Sometimes we can be tempted to believe that God is for Sunday, for services, for success even. Sometimes we can be tempted to neaten up the God story, as those who decided the order of the lectionary certainly did with chapter 16 in the Gospel according to Matthew. For in the official Sunday lectionary ordering, Peter's realization that Jesus is the Messiah is usually cut off from the following verses, in which Peter refuses to accept that Jesus must die, subsequently getting called out by Jesus in pretty brutal fashion, it must be said. But even this edit is less inauthentic than the lectionary's treatment of Psalm 40, in which the first 10 verses of praise are included, whilst the following 7 verses of desolation usually disappear altogether, as if God will embrace thoughtful words of beautiful worship whilst ignoring the honest cries of a desperate believer. And in case you think such thinking is confined to previous, less enlightened eras, just look at the condemnation that Lutheran pastor Nadia Bolz-Weber received from many wings of the church when she shared her desperate pleas for God's intercession in the divided states of America earlier this month. The language won't be for all of us, but in case you want to see the desperate and very honest prayers that she prayed that caused some to condemn her, follow the link here. Still today then, some within the church believe that God is to be kept free from our impurities, that the masts should be airbrushed, that the darkness and desperation of our lives must be kept out of sight and hidden beneath a veneer of respectability, for fear that God and our neighbour will be disgusted by the messiness of our lives. But God tells us differently. For God came to us in Jesus, born as all children are amidst blood and pain. As a grown man, he made a point of being with those who were ill and outcast, those who were dying or dead, or who lived lives that others thought of as sinful, untouchable people. He did not need to keep away from certain people or situations in order to maintain his purity. He certainly didn't. And here in this gospel reading, we see him begin the ultimate journey into darkness as he prepares to enter Jerusalem and the seat of corruption and power. He is ready to challenge, confront, and love those who control Israel and who are leading her astray. Jesus simply did not stick to safe situations or places of purity. Instead, he lived, died, and rose again in the midst of the confusion and complexities of an uncertain time. Sound familiar? I hope you'll forgive me then for bringing together the usually separated verses from Matthew's Gospel, for encouraging us to see Peter as a mixture of a man, so in tune with Jesus that he was able to see him as the Messiah, and also as one who could be blinded by his own desires, however good and noble they might have been. We remember too that Jesus' words, however strong and challenging to Peter, did not for 1 minute take away his declaration that Peter was a rock upon which God would build his church. Those words were spoken not as a reward for success, but as a gift, as an act of grace, as a vocation that would lead Peter to be transformed beyond his wildest dreams, to see and carry out healing and to speak words of life to those around him. But he would also keep failing and getting it wrong, and even when he did take the right path, it led ultimately to his death as a martyr. These past few months have reminded us, as if it were needed, that life is messy, confusing, unpredictable. It has reminded us that, like Peter, we too are a complex people living in an ever-changing society. We are a mixture of brilliance and brokenness, of love and hate, of hope and fear, and we are called, invited, welcomed into the presence of God, sharing all that we are as we are. Like the psalmist, we are invited to speak of God with courage, with honesty, with our lips and our lives, aware that we might not always get it right, that we may hurt ourselves and others even when we are trying to do the right thing. That sometimes our crosses are from God and sometimes they are of our own making. But God knows that. And yet God is here still among us, amidst TV masts and disinfectant sprays, not denying the shadowlands of our lives, but transforming them. Right here, within the mess and magnificence of our daily living, Christ can be found at the centre, present, forgiving, loving. Amen.
Let us pray. Listening Lord, who cares for all creation, we bring before you our prayers for the world, trusting that you are always ready to listen. We bring before you those who have lost trust in their nation's leaders and governments, the people of Belarus, the people of Beirut, exam year pupils in the UK, their schools and college staff. Inspire and encourage the leaders of all nations to act justly, with integrity, for the good of all their peoples. We pray for those who are grieving, for those whose grief is new and raw, and for those whose grief has been with them for a long time. We pray for the families of the young people who died in the sea at Lytham St Anne's, and the 4 young people killed in a car crash in Caen. We pray for those who are living with the reality of losing loved ones to coronavirus and other illnesses during these strange times, when funerals have not been able to happen in the normal way, and people have struggled to find ways to support the grieving or to express their own grief and to say goodbye. May they all know your comforting presence with them. In these uncertain times, we are thankful for your constant love, and we pray for those living with anxiety. Anxiety about their health or the health of a loved one. Anxiety about employment and unemployment. Anxiety about coping with life in the new normal. Anxiety about returning to work or school after months of being at home. Anxiety about how to feed a family on a very limited budget. May your loving presence bring a sense of peace and calm, which encourages hope to grow. Loving God, we pray for ourselves, for your church at Castle Square and St David's Uniting. Whilst we are unable to meet in the way that is normal to us, may we continue to support each other and the communities around us. We give thanks for all who have kept us connected through reflections, newsletters, phone calls and cards. May we continue to be your kingdom people in a new and different world. So let us join together in praying for that kingdom to come, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Hi all, I've been asked to pick my current favourite worship song and also give a little introduction as to why I've picked that song. So for me at the moment, my favourite worship song is definitely Broken Vessels by Hillsong. It's just a song that speaks to me at the moment. The lyrics in the song I think are beautiful. It speaks very much of regardless of our weaknesses and our failures, that God can use everything in our lives for His good, really, and the further of His kingdom. So it's just a song that speaks of just reassurance and mercy, really, to me, and just gives me a daily reminder, if you like, that every day is a clean slate with God. So yeah, that's my reasoning, and it's, like I say, it's been my favourite song now for the last probably few months. I've been listening to it nearly every day. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it anyway. Thank you.